city constructed of migrants and the children of migrants. Migrants of the Altiplano, migrants of the provinces of La Paz, migrants of the Yungas. Aymara migrants who bring Aymara culture, language, and identity. Each person and each family has a different reason for coming, but all are here for a different life. The city is young in development and population. The city started to develop in the 80s, and the population is 60% youth. The city is a mix of old and new, Aymara and Spanish, also referred to as Castellano, native and urban culture. It is a city with people who have struggled, a people with strong stories. Here are the 5 stories of Encarnacion, Yolanda, Calixto, Victoria, y Pablo. She said she learned how to join them, the letters, with pride. She didn't go to school, but with the missionaries she tried. She hoped. She learned. She learned to join the letters into words, Aymara words, but she couldn't be understood. Because Castellano es poder. Spanish is the language of hope she wished so hard on. Spanish, the language of her spirituality, the language of conquistadores, the language of her future, but Aymara is her roots. She was learning to join the letters in her 2 weeks of school. Now, she is joining culture. Soy Aymara, soy católica. She speaks Aymara porque es nuestro idioma. She learned Spanish because she wanted power, the power to communicate. She didn't go to formal school, but she can teach more than any textbook. Life is about finding hope, and she has found it. She has seeked it out and held on tight. She has found it in Aymara y Castellano. She has found it in working all hours of the day, knitting for foreigners so her children can get an education she never experienced. Por las gracias de Dios y los abuelos ahora están estudiando en la universidad. Hear the hope she grasps onto as she almost whispers that her children have made it to the university with a smile. Her smile speaks its own language, ni Aymara ni Castellano, pero esperanza. It speaks its own language of knowing. It says, I have suffered, but I have hopes and I have faith. Her smile speaks in every language. That is power, the power of Encarnacion Quispe. She went to school to join the letters, but she was told she couldn't join the cultures. Necesitas dejar Aymara a la puerta. Es puro castellano aquí. But she couldn't join the letters without joining the language, not because she wanted to speak Aymara, but because the new language was hard. She looks up with a smile, and it is clear she has worn that smile when she was too afraid to cry, too struck that everywhere she turned her culture was being ambushed. At the age of 9, she started working in the city as a niñera, a babysitter. Then as she grew older, she peeled the potatoes, she washed the clothes of other children. Children who were like her brothers and sisters because yes, she was working for them, yes, she was from another place, a different language, a different culture, but she had grown with them. She had shared her culture because it was within her. But the jefa, the boss, didn't like that. She wanted her children to learn foreign cultures, join the foreign value with urban Bolivia, not the roots of her country that were caring for her children. Yes, she has suffered because she has constantly been told she cannot join her language, her culture with this modern city she has worked in instead of played, but she is strong. She is demanding the rights that have been stripped from her for so many years. That is strength, the strength of Yolanda, trabajadora del hogar. His faith is felt throughout the room. With his gorra slightly pushed off his head, he chants, Somos Aymara, Somos Aymara. In a way, I almost believe I am Aymara too. He is deacon of the Catholic Church, but more than that, he is a joiner of cultures. The letters of his sermon join together to form words in Spanish and words in Aymara. The youth of his congregation don't always understand, but that is our right, because Somos Aymara, Somos Aymara. Our parents were Aymaras del Campo, and we are Aymaras de la Ciudad. He speaks of the conquistadores not with disdain, but with the knowing that his country was robbed, that his grandfather who lived and revolted until he was 120 years old was enslaved in body, but not in spirit. He carries the religion of his grandfather with him. He teaches it around the world because Somos Aymara, Somos Aymara. Everywhere we go, we carry our identity. We join Aymara with the new cultures and beliefs we encounter. He has been rejected. rejected for his Catholic faith by Aymaras and rejected for his Aymara faith by Catholics. But he has not been rejected by God, so his faith continues. His faith in the religion of conquistadores that helped him escape a lack of land. His faith in the religion of his grandfather who walked and walked until he could find land he wouldn't be a slave. His spirit lives in the world of new and old. He speaks Aymara at his Catholic church because tenemos que respetar nuestra lengua, nuestra manera de comunicarnos. He is reclaiming, reconnecting his language, his faith. This is faith, the faith of Calixto Quispe. At 12, she was caring for a baby, a wawa. At 13, she was working in the mines of Potosi. She looks up and says, I didn't have a happy childhood. In this time, we didn't have food, just water and salt for nutrients. She didn't want to suffer anymore the way she had suffered with her family in the mines, so she came to the city to work as a trabajadora del hogar, a housekeeper. Just 17, but told she could not go to school. She spoke only Aymara until she was 12, but out of necessity in the mines in the city, she learned pocas palabras in Castellano. She never went to high school, but her drive to learn never faded. She worked and worked, but her dream continued. She worked for a boss with a warm heart. This boss allowed and paid for her to go to night school. This boss also paid for her many operations as she struggled and defeated stomach cancer. Even with this, she never lost her dream to learn. And now she has graduated. She wants to teach. Teach Aymara in the city or teach in the campo where the children are neglected. She dreams to join the Aymara language in the classrooms of the city. She dreams to speak her native tongue on the airwaves of Radio San Gabriel, an Aymara radio station. She dreams and she believes, even after all she has suffered, that this world is good, that this world is beautiful, that culture and language can be connected in this country. And she dreams to teach this. This is hope, the hope of Victoria. He is the second generation, the youth that composes so much of the city of El Alto. He is Aymara, but he cannot join the letters into words. The pronunciations are difficult. He speaks of racism, of a society that inhibited him from learning the language of his parents, Encarnacion y Calixto Quispe. He wants to learn because it is better now, with the new constitution and the plurinational state, but it is hard. He is studying to be a doctor. Pero soy Aymara. He knows where the potatoes grow on his grandfather's land in Ocampo, and to know the land is to be Aymara. He practices the waktas, the traditions, and this is to be Aymara. The language, he says, is of his parents' generation, not his, but he hopes his children can learn. He is joining his ancestral identity with his identity of the city, but he cannot join the letters into their Aymara words. He is product of discrimination, of Castellanization, but he is Aymara. That is to be the youth of El Alto. It is to be Pablo Quispe.